Welcome back to another episode of the Into the Triangle podcast. My name is Sam. Thank you for joining me today. The Red Sox take one out of three from the Cubs. They win today. They win game three, lose the first two games in pretty humiliating fashion. I'm going to be breaking that down, and I'm going to be breaking down a lot of the recent trade rumors. So, hey, let's just get right into it. This series was tough. There was a kind of an immediate negative feeling when in game one you have a scoreless first, and then Lucas Giolito gives up a three-run bomb to Seiya Suzuki, and immediately the game feels like, oh, okay, this is not the 10-0 run team that we had seen before. And obviously, there's not a world where you expect the Red Sox to win that many games over and over and over again. Oh, and by the way, I just want to say, different set because I'm on vacation. So doing this from an Airbnb room. Anyways, so immediately the series felt off compared to especially the 10-0 run that obviously the Red Sox went on to kind of go into the All-Star break really hot, the hottest team in baseball. Obviously it was just not the series that the Red Sox were meant to win. Game one, you only score one run, you lose 4-1. Game two, Bayo doesn't have a great start. He has a good, solid start, not a great start. You guys lose 6-0. The offense at one point today until they scored in the seventh inning. Until they scored in the seventh inning, the offense had scored one run in like 25 innings. So the offense looked very dead pretty much through today, where Garrett Crochet clearly didn't have his best stuff, but even when he's not on his best, he holds the Cubs to one run. Very efficient baseball. And do you kind of get that turnaround? Wilyer Abreu hits that home run. Alex Bregman hits that home run. Wilyer Abreu hits another home run. That's where you could kind of feel the energy turning. And, it leaves the Red Sox ultimately in a good place, leaving this series, which was obviously did not go the way they wanted it to. Lets them leave this series feeling positive, feeling like there's something to build on. The guys looked hyped up at the end. Willier had a great bat spike after that home run. So, hey, ultimately, I think you can leave this series feeling okay. You're still 7 games over 500. You only drop a game. The Rays didn't have a great series. It's not like you're falling out of it. And hey, it's one series out of the All-Star break. The guys are going to take a second to wake up. Now you go to Philadelphia, who just lost a series to the Angels, and hey, you see what can happen there. Um, as far as real talking points for the series, obviously, not much to talk about. A couple of things I guess I could talk about. Because really, if we're being honest, I have like a list of like 6 things about this trade deadline. So episode will probably be mostly those, but we will obviously talk about the series. I mean, honestly, I don't really want to talk about the series a whole lot, but there are a couple talking points. I think the big one to come out of this was Connor Wong. I think there's a point now where, considering that the Red Sox are a legitimate playoff contender looking like at this point. I think most Red Sox fans are acknowledging that it's just you're unable to have Connor Wong in the lineup every 3 to 4 days. He's an automatic out. He always comes up with an opportunity. Like first and I think in game two he came up with like first and second one out or first and second two outs like twice. And he just didn't get anything. And he never does. He's one of the worst qualified hitters in baseball. His OPS starts with a 3, obviously just not good enough. You can't have it in a world where you're in a playoff series, trying to win a 5 or 7 game playoff series, and you need Connor Wong. If you play a 7 game series, Connor Wong's playing twice. You just can't have that. And I think one of the strengths of this lineup is, hey, while there maybe isn't a clear top of the lineup, I think there's a world where, one of the Red Sox biggest strengths is that, hey, their 1 through 9 is perhaps the most consistent in baseball, where, hey, we're not going to have our 1 through 3 be 300 hitters with 40 home runs, but we're going to have our 1 through 9 hitters all be hitting like 250, 260, 270 with like 15 to 25 bombs. I think that is a situation you're obviously much more happy with And really, I think Connor Wong is the only player on the team right now that can be reliably seen as a immediate out every time he steps up to the plate, and that's obviously a huge problem. I think it really starts to put the pressure on Connor Wong because we've heard how aggressive Breslow will be at this deadline. I don't know why Breslow wouldn't say, "Hey, let's just go out and get a catcher that hits 200 to back up Narvaez." I think that's all it takes. I think that's all you need at this point. Get someone who, hey, at least in every fifth or sixth or like no, like 4 to 5 at bats, he's gonna give you a knock or he's gonna walk or something like that. Just anything positive. Give me a guy that, hey, if there's a runner on third with one out, I'm gonna be like, he's gonna get this run home right now. That's what I want. And Connor Wong just can't do that. He hasn't done it all year. I'm done with Connor Wong. I think that's probably like really one of the main talking points. A main talking point that I was really planning on leading into before the Red Sox scored 6 runs in 2 innings was, man, this offense looks really bad. Narvaez looks tired. Cedar Rafaela wasn't really having the at-bats, but an Alex Bregman home run today really changed the vibes. And I can't exactly pinpoint what it is, but the Alex Bregman homer today felt big because Bregman is the key core piece to this offense and this lineup. So to have him get a home run that was in a clutch moment that fired up the team, had the dugout going crazy, that feels very big for this offense. So until they really, unless they struggle against Philly like really badly, and they are facing some good pitchers with Philly, they're facing Zach Wheeler, they're facing Christopher Sanchez, they're facing like legitimate all-star level, Cy Young level pitchers at this point. I think it's it's important to give this offense one more series, seeing the end to really criticize how bad they were and how bad they like for game one and game two and halfway through game three were horrible. And to the offense's credit, a lot of it was they're getting on guys on base, like they'll get first and second, and then you have that dumbass Abraham Toro play in the first game. Or first and second, and someone smokes a liner to right field, but of course it's hit right to Kyle Tucker. Like Kyle Tucker had like 4 sliding catches where it's like this ball was hit like 104 off the bat, smoked into right field, and he just kind of slides in and grabs it. Obviously, that's how baseball is, but it's not necessarily like this offense came out and just like could not get a bat on the ball and was just grounding out every time. Like they were putting good contact and a lot of it just wasn't falling. So listen, I'm not gonna kill them over that. Once again, just post All-Star break, one series. I'm not gonna smother them for uh not showing up for one series. Let's give them time to get back. And for all we know, hey, they take 2 out of 3 from Philadelphia, and all of a sudden we're a-okay again. So that's my take on it. The offense was definitely a concern. I think Abraham Toro is a serious concern as well. The offensive side is really falling apart for him. The defense is starting to feel like a real negative, and that base running mistake was just abysmal in game one. You have first and second, no one out, and you take a fly ball to kind of right or left center field, and it turns into a double play. Like that's Bush League stuff. Like get back on the base when it's gonna be flown out. These are major leaguers. They will catch you lacking if you are not locked in. So Toro, I feel like, is a real guy that is also now feeling the pressure, and we will talk about one name that could replace Toro. And as a matter of fact, let's get right into these notes. I got some notes here taken on the complimentary pad that they gave us at the Airbnb. So my first note, so since we're on the topic of Toro, we'll just go to this right now. According to Steve Perrault of Section 10 Podcasts, the Red Sox are interested in Ryan O'Hearn. Now, he said the way he was saying it, he was doing a segment where it's like the missing piece for every division or playoff contender. He was like the missing piece for every playoff contender. And he named a player and he said the Red Sox, or he said like the missing move or something like that because he had one for every team. He said the Red Sox trading for Ryan O'Hearn, and he says he's heard murmurs that the Red Sox are really interested in O'Hearn. They're kicking around. We've heard Craig Breslow talk about the first base position a lot this kind of like the last few weeks, maybe like last month. He has talked a lot about improving first base. While Hearn probably wouldn't be a long-term solution, the guy is absolutely hitting this year. He's a positive defender at first base. And ultimately, I think in a playoff game, you're much more comfortable with Ryan O'Hearn coming up than Toro. O'Hearn is a good ball player. My question would be price. He is expiring. He is a first baseman. He's a little older. How would he fare? Like, are we gonna have to give up something that seems like it's a little rich? Maybe, but at the same, and it's maybe will the Orioles pay us for like, hey, you're a division rival, you're gonna have to pay double. Maybe, but I like O'Hearn a lot as a player. I think he fills that first base hole perfectly, and I would like to see that happen. And I'm interested to see what the Red Sox do here in the coming weeks with O'Hearn, and if they end up landing him, how aggressive they are, what else we hear about O'Hearn. Because ultimately, if you're talking about first base improvements, it's Josh Naylor and O'Hearn. And after that, you're talking about like Carlos Santana. And there was rumors that the Red Sox were interested in Santana, but like really aging guy who's just playing okay at first base. Not necessarily a name that I would be desiring for the Red Sox to go out and get at this point. So Ryan O'Hearn on the Red Sox radar, and as a matter of fact, maybe they're proactively trying to get him. We'll see how all that plays out. Speaking of the Red Sox kind of eyeing other players, Bob Nightingale reported in his Sunday Notebook today that the Red Sox and Yankees, but we're obviously only going to focus on the Red Sox had scouts in Arizona to watch Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen of the Arizona Diamondbacks. So obviously, I mean, it's pretty easy to read into what that means. The Red Sox have at least some degree of interest in both of these guys, and they wanted boots on the ground to see them and see what they thought. I'm more in favor of Merrill Kelly. I think he's just safer. Like Gallen obviously is an upside play, but I think Kelly, at the end of the day, probably offers you a much safer arm, a guy that's going to be more consistent, just more reliable, every fifth day, and will be a definitive improvement over Walker Buehler in the rotation. Like I said, Gallen, and like I said in my pitching tier list, kind of pitching ad tier list, Gallen was a great player, has good stuff, but right now he's playing horribly, and I'm not seeing any sign of it turning around necessarily. So Kelly would definitely be more in favor for me, but at the end of the day, I'm not really in on Gallen, but it is interesting to see that the Red Sox are actively going for both these guys, or at least getting a good look at both these guys. Quick note here, one that kind of makes sense, but we'll see how it plays out. The Twins are going to listen to offers on Joe Ryan, but they are not actively shopping him in any way. They would like to keep him if they can. A lot of people are just saying, hey, like, just meet the Twins' offer, meet their asking price, and that should get the deal done. So we'll see how the Red Sox, once again, how aggressive the Red Sox are in going for that. Another report that the Red Sox have called the Angels about Jose Soriano, the 26-year-old right-hander, has a 3.9 ERA right now. Pretty electric breaking ball stuff. A lot of people see him as a Brian Bayo type, 99th percentile ground ball percentage. Like this is a guy that's very similar to Bayo's like sinker, changeup, curveball. He's going to get a lot of ground balls, a lot of balls just kind of spiked right into the ground. And he's having a good year for the Angels, has several years of control left. Once again, only 26. This feels like a type of arm that the Red Sox could add and say, hey, like we could just tweak this and this, and maybe it comes around. Interesting to see. I like Soriano a lot. I think he's a very similar archetype to Bayo. We've seen what Bayo's been able to do this year, how they've been able to work with his arsenal. I think Soriano would be an interesting swing, especially if you want to talk about a future play as well. He's only 26. He has several years of control left. You could realistically argue that this makes you better now and in the long term, with Soriano being very young and being able to work out kinks as he goes. And then just a couple kind of minor notes before we wrap this up here. The Red Sox tried for David Robertson, who signed with the Phillies today. You know, Interesting. I'm not crazy about David Robertson. He's a good ball player. He's a solid reliever who's been in the league for a long time. The Red Sox seemingly right behind the Phillies in landing him. They seem to be very aggressive. Craig Breslow was at his showcase that he had in Rhode Island. I don't think the bullpen is in that urgent of a replacement. Oh, I mean, like it's not even like Robertson is this guy. I mean, he's been in free agency for this long for a reason. So it's not like you're talking about going out and adding a reliever that was like that is dominating right now and has multiple years of control left. This is a 40-year-old who ultimately is has been out of baseball for this entire season and will could retire at the end of this year for all we know. So Robertson, good player. If we added him, I would have been like, cool, that's a good bullpen arm. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't be able to easily pick it like, okay, well, you DFA this guy if you bring in Robertson, because I think a lot of the arms in the bullpen are solid. Frankly, the worst playing arm in the bullpen at this point is probably like Jordan Hicks. You're not going to DFA him. You just got him for Rafi Devers, and he's really expensive. You want time to work with Jordan Hicks at least. So had a scoreless outing today. So hey, like where does Robertson fit in? If you do get him, I'm not sure. I would much rather you go out and trade for an impact arm rather than kind of going for Robertson, who's a good player but old and has not played any baseball this year. And the last note that I'll leave us off with, according to Julian McWilliams on 310 to Left, the Red Sox, while most people see the outfield logjam as something that needs an immediate fix, they like the current rotation that they have in the outfield, and they do not feel like they need to make a trade this season, and they feel like this could be pushed off to the offseason perhaps to make a move to free up that outfield logjam. Interesting here because I think if you want a big time second arm, it's going to have to be Jarren Duran or Wilyer Abreu into the deal to get prospects back and then go out and get a guy like Joe Ryan if that's who you're really interested in. So if you're saying we're going to settle with the outfield for how it is, that kind of seems like you're blocking that. I also find it interesting that hey, like I think it kind of feels like an urgent need to fix up this outfield logjam and make this lineup more cohesive. Clearly, they don't feel the same way. I don't love that. I think it's better to find an answer sooner or later. If it can help you get a guy like Joe Ryan with the prospects, maybe do a lot of people have been proposing a three-team trade, Duran to San Diego, Ryan to Boston, and then you guys both send prospects to Minnesota to kind of balance out that deal. It's possible. I think it makes sense for all sides, but three-team trades aren't that common. But ultimately, if you want a guy like Joe Ryan, you need to do something with Duran or Abreu. Clearly, they're not urgent on doing that. So we'll see how it all plays out. The trade deadline, on Thursday, it will be, and Thursday, my next podcast will be coming out Wednesday night, going into Thursday morning. So by the time you guys probably watch my next podcast after the Phillies series, we will be a week away from the trade deadline. And who knows, we might already have trades coming in at that point. So we will see. It's going to be an interesting deadline to talk about. Let's see if the Red Sox can bounce back from kind of a sucky start to the series, finish hot. Can they carry that into Philadelphia tomorrow, going through Wednesday? And hey, can the Red Sox continue to build on this momentum? And will we see an ad in the coming days? Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the series, your thoughts on any of the trade rumors that I talked about, and let me know any thoughts on the Phillies series, maybe perhaps a prediction, what you think might happen. Personally, I'm gonna go 1 out of 3. I don't like the first two pitching matchups, especially day one, which is Bueller versus Zach Wheeler. Don't love that. I think you can almost pen that in as a loss. And then Christopher Sanchez on day two, I believe, going up against Fitz. Not a great matchup either. So we'll see how those both work out. Hopefully, obviously the Red Sox can pull out a win, but right now that's just my hunch. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you guys, will like the videos. And we're gonna have a lot of videos coming out every single series, or whenever a big trade breaks, videos will be coming. And yeah, want to thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoy your day. I'll see you next time. Peace out.